Wraith is an incredibly exciting hero in Paragon because of his base stats. Yes, his kit is absolutely fantastic, but he actually is very interesting with how he fundamentally works. He's basically a ranged fighter, much like a Greystone, except ranged, but his mana pool and his one hard-hitting ability is like that of a caster. He kind of is a ranged fighter in a lot of ways, which makes him interesting in the card department. I already have a video about how power and attack speed are tremendous on him, especially the attack speed, but what can we use in the caster department in terms of Hydroverser? It converts his mana pool into power. So does it actually work on Wraith? Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Paragon guide. I am Sylphin. In today's video we are taking a look at Hydroverser on Wraith. Now when we start analyzing Hydroverser, it's really quite interesting how he is basically a ranged fighter, but can use great caster cards. Now Hydroverser here in the overview is an 8 CP intellect card. Wraith is intellect, he can use this card. You get 1 CP of health, absolutely. Wraith can definitely use that, he is quite squishy. 1 CP of mana regen, perfect for great sustain. This leaves a 6 CP cost that you actually pay in CP for that passive. However, in total value, what you could have otherwise have gotten if you hadn't gone for Hydroverser would be a fully upgraded bonus, and you're not getting that. So you, in fact, have kind of a value cost different from the CP cost of 7 CP. Now, that is what we're going to have to use to compare Hydroverser to other things. Now, the passive part of it is 7% of the current mana that your hero has is converted into power. You kind of get power just for sitting there with a certain mana pool. Now, obviously, the more mana you have, the more power you'll get. But from when Hydroverser was initially released, and go check out that video, we did discover that it's not worth it at all to build mana just for Hydroverser. Please take that into account. Now, as we take a look into the analysis, just pay attention to this little graph here on the side. This is how much mana you have your base mana pool at certain hero levels. Obviously, it goes up once you get up to level 50, and etc. Now, when we analyze Hydroverser, it's really interesting. 7 CP of power that you could have gotten if you didn't go for Hydroverser equates to 42 power due to the scaling of Wraith's knock-knock ability. That actually means that 42 power turns into 42 damage. We're not taking ability pen into account simply because from my previous math video we know it's simply not worth it at all. So it's 42 damage on knock-knock ability that you are potentially losing going for Hydroverser. For his basic attack, that 42 power equates to an additional 21 damage per second for his basic attack. Now, this is before attack speed, so attack speed can increase that DPS if you have attack speed on it, on Wraith, obviously. Just like ability pen can increase the damage from his knock-knock, attack speed, and of course crit as well, can increase the damage that this power does. So we have a baseline, 42 damage on knock-knock and 21 DPS on his basic attack. Now, Hydroverser, because it gains power from your mana pool, we're going to play around with various levels of mana that you can see right in this cell here. Now we're sitting at 1200. Let's go. Let's say we're at level 15 and we have 1232 mana. That gives us 86.24 power from Hydroverser. Obviously, that's much more than 42 power for a knock-knock and 42 for our basic attack. So very interesting. What if we are at half mana pool? Well, let's say we're at half of our mana at level 15 because we're in a fight and we're trying to finish off one enemy. Well, let's say we have 615 mana. We can still see that power that you get from Hydroverser is still 43. So, half mana, you're still actually getting the value that you could have gotten going for power. Now, we can see here that if you wanted to see what kind of profit you got, say here we're sitting at full mana here at level 15, the profit damage, this is profit. You are getting more value from than what you actually spent into it. 44 extra damage on your Knock Knock just from picking Hydroverser over power. Of course, we're sitting at maximum mana. You have to take that into account. Now the profit DPS on his basic attack, again, attack speed can increase this, is 22 extra damage on his basic attack. Remember, basic attack, you can basic attack as much as you want, and you're not using mana, and that bonus damage won't go down. Wraith is one of the first where that is actually really significant. The whole, like, is Hydroverser worth it on, say, Murdoch? No, he doesn't have a big enough mana pool. Wraith, though, that is actually a legitimate thing that you can think about. Now, the total damage here from your Knock Knock ability is 316. This is ignoring any other additional pen or power that you have in your build. This is just the power from the ability and Hydroverser, and the total basic attack DPS is 106. Again, if we are, say, if we're at half mana, you can take a look here that it's still paying for itself. Hydroverser is still paying for itself at half mana. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we can basically make some pretty clear conclusions about Hydroverser on Wraith. Hydroverser profits after about 600 mana. Once you have 600 mana or more, that is when Hydroverser pays for itself. It's just as good as power at 600 mana. Once you're at 1200 mana, it's actually twice the value. Twice the value that you're paying for it. So it has a tremendous potential to actually get much more bang for your buck. And I think that is absolutely phenomenal. Especially, guys, considering that he has a fairly significant, a fairly low mana cost to all of his abilities. Yeah, his Knock Knock is 120, 135, something like that. But again, if you get last hits, that does get refunded, and that's considering that that's maybe the whole point of Wraith, to get those last hits, secure them anyways. There is a huge consideration that Hydroverser has the potential to be phenomenal on him. Again, also consider that his basic attack is inherently a large part of his kit. His basic attack, with the power scaling of 0.6, and how attack speed helps him so much, and how he hits hard. He hits relatively hard in the late game for a fighter. It's very important to think of Hydroverser as also increasing his basic attack DPS as well. The benefit there is that you can basic attack as much as you want, your mana isn't going down, and that bonus from Hydroverser isn't getting reduced. Huge consideration. I personally would recommend Hydroverser, in my opinion, on pretty much any of your Wraith builds. It is a wonderful way. It's a great late game card. Once you're at hero level, I would say 12 or 13, then you can equip it, because then you have 400, 500 mana to play with before you kind of have to start. If I kind of start sticking around, Hydroverser's kind of actually hurting me right now, so you have some wiggle room. Hydroverser, guys, great, fantastic card. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this. Do you run Hydroverser? Is there any scenarios that you think you wouldn't run Hydroverser? Is there anything I'm missing? Let me know down in the comments, as I would love for you and everybody else to help. Please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community, and of course, guys, subscribe. You guys like this content, especially if you found it useful, please subscribe so I can do it for you in the future. If you would like to support me and what I do on a regular basis, please consider going over to my Patreon account where you can make a monthly pledge to support what I do and reap some pretty good rewards. Till next time, like always, guys, stay optimistic and positive.